What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is our first live episode of Blood, Saint and Beers, episode 15.
Oh shit.
We're back from AGDQ.
What's up, everybody? Woo.
So we took last week off because we were at Awesome Games Done Quick 2019, which raised $2.3, almost $2.4 million.
New record for AGDQ, or any GDQ, sorry.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We'll talk about that, give our thoughts on how we think this one compared to others. There's some gaming news and some other stuff that happened while we were gone. Some stuff just dropped. We want to kick it off.
All sorts of things.
With EA rumored to have canceled the open world Star Wars game.
I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't a rumor.
No.
At this point.
I don't think it's technically been confirmed, but it's looking like that is the case. And as the resident Star Wars guy, you know, if you want to give your thoughts on that.
What they call me. That's what they call me on the streets and such. They've always called me that.
That's what I call you.
Yes. So this is one of two games that has been in development for the Star Wars franchise. There's the Visceral game that has been scrapped, and they started remaking it, but I guess they're just scrapping it now. Then there's the Respawn Entertainment one called the Fallen Order or something like that.
It's the Fallen Order, the Fallen Jedi. I don't remember which one it was. I think it might be Order.
Yeah, I think it's the Fallen Order. And
it's the one at E3 where they just kind of like casually announced it in the crowd. Like, oh, hey, this guy's here. He's going to talk about this game.
They very awkwardly announced it with the girl in the crowd. And he's like, hey, it's the Fallen Order. There are going to be some Sith. And he looked really uncomfortable. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
But, yep, more. They're probably just going to announce Battlefront 3. And they're probably going to cancel the other one, too.
Yeah, I wasn't aware there were two games in development. I thought it was just the Fallen Order. I was like, oh shit, they canceled that. That's really upsetting. But
yeah, this one's been in limbo for like a very long time, ever since that big Visceral layoff, no pun intended, I guess. Yeah, everyone was wondering what all those assets were going to be doing. They're gone now, much like a lot of other Star Wars single player games in like the last 10 years. Yeah, never gonna get a single player Star Wars game that doesn't suck, because the Battlefront 2 single player campaign sucked. It sucked so bad. Unfortunate. I'm so sad. We
may have already hit the point, but do you think we're getting to the point where Star Wars fatigue is setting in? People always talk about like superhero fatigue, which I still don't think we've really hit that point of. As Aquaman disproves that, breaking $1 billion, which is crazy. Spider-Man trailer came out today and everyone loves it.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that next. But on that point of like fatigue, I think that only happens when when it comes to Marvel, they make good movies. Like people like that stuff. It comes out, people like it, and it just keeps going on. The new Star Wars movies, they're just kind of okay. Then The Last Jedi came out and that was bad.
Yeah.
And then Solo came out and like that flopped in the box office a little bit. So it's just like they're not good. You can't do a lot with Star Wars unless you're doing like lightsabers or something. So yeah, I don't think this whole Star Wars thing is gonna last that long, unfortunately. As much as Disney's really trying, and I want more single player Star Wars games, but it's not financially viable, I guess, which is why they keep canceling it.
It's weird because I'm always surprised by the amount of hype behind Star Wars, even though it's like right now it's kind of going through a low point. Like anything that's Star Wars related has so much conversation around it and so much, you know, hype or disappointment.
Yeah, because it has so much to live up to. It's like when The Last Jedi was coming out, people were like, okay, we got to compare this to Empire Strikes Back, which is arguably one of the best films of all time, not just best Star Wars movies. Like people love that movie. And it's just anytime you put Star Wars on the name, people expect like the best still, even though like even the prequels were bad. Everyone's still like it's gonna be great, and it's not great. And people are like, oh yeah, it's just okay.
As someone who's never quite gotten into the Star Wars hype, like I like the original trilogy. They're okay. They're better than okay, if you want to say that. Prequels, you know, I didn't hate them, but I was young enough to be like, I don't really care. Like, I know they're not good, but I didn't hate them at the same time. Like the new movies are like, just from a movie standpoint, they're not too interesting.
It's like the new Star Trek movies. It's just like, they're like action movies or whatever. It's like it just has that name on it, and then it sells. It's a sad state of affairs being a Star Wars fan.
It's with the amount of like books out there and so much content and the extended universe, is that what they call it for Star Wars? Or
yeah, they actually scrapped it.
Yeah,
they call that legacy now, which just means it's not what they deem official.
But it's having all of that content they could reach into and really explore, which, you know, Star Wars fans have been doing for such a long time. The go back to narrowing it down to just a few characters in a single storyline is kind of weird.
Yeah, it's all about just the originals were just having some characters in like a space opera setting, and the characters were fun, interesting. You could relate to them. These new ones are just about, I don't know what they're about. I don't think they know what it's about. I think Lifelike made a good point in the chat. They started making them with no plans with the full trilogy, but they knew they were making a trilogy.
Yeah.
Like, yep, they just don't know what they're doing. So it's like, whatever.
It's pretty much like how Universal did The Mummy and the whole monster dark, I forget what they call it.
The Dark Universe.
Yeah, the Dark Universe, cinematic universe, or something stupid like that.
Yeah, they canceled it after the Mummy movie came out and sucked.
Like they're so set on making such a collection of films, whether it's a trilogy or a universe or whatever, that they don't even like, they don't plan for it. They're just like, oh, we're just gonna start putting out movies and see what happens.
Yeah, we hope it catches fire like Marvel did.
I mean, luckily, like DC has that kind of backfired in their face with Batman versus Superman and Justice League, but with things like Wonder Woman and now Aquaman, you know, they kind of have an out to go back to just individual movies.
Yeah, making one-off movies and then build up to the actual Justice League.
Like, luckily they survived it.
Start with it.
But, you know, many of these other companies just kind of stopped. So,
speaking of Marvel movies, the new Spider-Man Far From Home trailer came out today.
Yeah, it dropped early this morning. And it looks so good.
It looks really good. Oh,
so
I love Spider-Man and Ramones having hijinks, and that turns into epic shit. Oh my god! And Spider-Man looks so cool.
There's actually an international trailer which shows some additional footage as well. Like you see how his suit gets to being in Europe, or I forget, London. That's where they're going.
Oh, okay.
So there's some extra stuff there if you're looking for it, or if you're, I guess, if that's the first trailer you saw, there's an American version, some extra footage as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, if you haven't seen Homecoming, it's very good in my opinion. It's like the best movie version of Spider-Man.
Oh, absolutely.
I think. And Far From Home looks really fun, just like fun Spider-Man shit. And I guess Mysterio is the big villain, which I don't know much about, which is fine.
So the thing with Mysterio, and it's like there's apparently been some rumors or leaks going around for it, which I wasn't aware of, that he's an illusionist by trade. He does a lot of special effects stuff, and typically, like, he'll make enemies, villains, so that he can pretend to be the good guy and like rob a bank on the side when everyone's distracted and they think, oh, he's great. Or he'll make Spider-Man look to be evil, so that he can be the good guy in that scenario.
That's dope.
So it looks like he's using the elementals, like Hydro Man, to kind of cause a ruckus overseas, and then he's going to step in to kind of take the spotlight. So it's going to be interesting to see where his storyline goes, what he's actually trying to do. But yeah, for one of the sillier looking Marvel villains, he's got like the fishbowl helmet and stuff. They actually pull that off and make it look amazing. It is really cool. I mean, they did that with Vulture and Homecoming.
Yeah, they somehow made Vulture look sick and have a cool storyline, pretty much. Jake Gyllenhaal looks dope.
Yeah, he has a lot of movies that I don't really care for, but he has movies like Nightcrawler, which is amazing.
Yeah, like he just churns out movies until something good comes out, and that's really good.
Like Prince of Persia was pretty
yeah, I don't even remember watching it, but I did watch it.
And he doesn't really seem necessarily like the most evil villain, but like watching Nightcrawler, he can definitely give a creepy performance if need be. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I was super excited when I saw that trailer. I was like, this seems fun. I want to watch this. It looks cool, which I don't get from a lot of trailers nowadays.
And it actually comes out on my birthday, so I'm pretty hyped about that.
What? Happy birthday to you.
Woo. It's like several months away, but I'll take it.
Happy birthday. I'll get it out of the way now.
This came out a couple of weeks ago, and I think we did mention it, but Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, like everyone who's seen it just says you have to watch it, and I have not gotten a chance to do it.
Yeah, I totally forgot that movie existed.
It's supposed to be
that's the animated
really
one, right?
damn good, so one of these days I'll get around to watching it.
A 97 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
But I don't trust Rotten Tomatoes after The Last Jedi. But I've also heard it was like pretty good.
Like I've barely heard anything negative about it in the slightest.
You want to go watch it this week, and then we'll talk about it next week?
Yeah, let's go watch it together. I'll drive down, get some more traveling in.
Yeah. I just want to travel. Just want to keep traveling after AGDQ. Yep. Everyone had great travel stories. Nothing but smooth sales.
I'll get into my travel story later. But
oh boy,
there is another exciting trailer coming out on Thursday, which was kind of teased earlier. Which now you can be hyped over since you saw the first two movies on New Year's. John Wick 3, Parabellum.
Oh, shit.
Trailer is dropping on Thursday, and I'm excited.
Yeah, somehow I didn't see John Wick 1 or 2 prior to New Year's. Even though they're right up my alley and they were amazing, I just didn't watch them. For whatever reason, I was waiting for like a good moment, and I drunkenly watched John Wick 1 and 2. They're both amazing, and I'm probably going to watch them again.
I am a little skeptical about Halle Berry being in this one. I don't know what kind of role she's playing. I'm not the biggest fan of hers. But I trust the directors to do a good job. And Keanu Reeves is amazing.
Let's hope their casting is on point. That's cool.
Anytime I think of Halle Berry, I just think of Catwoman. And that movie is one of, if not the worst movies I've ever seen.
It's really bad. I think of Monsters Ball.
Yeah.
Not for any particular reason. Just choosing that. Yeah, that's a fact. Also, trailers that came out while we were at GDQ, Alien Blackout.
Yep. Shifting away from the movies, going to games. This was technically, or not technically, it was supposed to be shown at the Video Game Awards, as the rumor goes. And then we didn't hear anything then, kind of waited, and then just last week, out of nowhere, they dropped trailer for a mobile game, which is kind of sad. But it is what it is.
It looks exactly like Five Nights at Freddy's.
But on an alien spaceship.
It's like shockingly similar to Five Nights at Freddy's, which I was very upset with. I was like, come on, you can't just, like, that's like 3 years too late, I feel. Like, Five Nights at Freddy's was a big thing.
I think they're going with the trend like every gaming company does, where they just want a mobile game out there. And they're like, all right, what's
a quick way of doing it?
How do we do I think they confirmed it's not technically a sequel to Alien Isolation, although it features the same character, Amanda Ripley.
Really? Ripley's daughter?
Mm-hmm. Which many people were thinking it was going to be a sequel. Now it's, I'm pretty sure, confirmed not to be a sequel. And they're just like, oh, we can use this character in the spaceship and go along the same lines, but make it a mobile game, which is really sad.
Yeah, it's like not really the storyline. It's just like, here are the characters. So this is very fresh in my mind, but it's kind of like in Dragon Ball Z movies way back in the day. I was trying to look at a timeline because I was like watching the old Brawley movie in preparation for the new Brawley movie that's coming out tomorrow, which I'm going to be seeing next Monday. Talk about that next week. But like Dragon Ball Z movies, like the timeline, all the movies are on their separate timeline. Like none of them line up with the actual saga. They're more just like, yeah, if they weren't doing this over here fighting Frieza, they were fighting Cooler in the Cooler movie. I was like,
Okay.
Okay, so you literally just took the characters and just put them over here. And you're like, yeah, now they're doing this now. I'm like, oh, that's... When I was a kid, I wouldn't have caught on to that. But now that I'm older, I'm like, wow, that was just a cash in. I guess I respect it.
I remember seeing some Dragon Ball movies like on TV when I was a kid, and I didn't know who like half the villains were, and like the powers didn't seem right.
The power levels are all over the place.
And I didn't know when it was supposed to take place. There's so many movies out there now for Dragon Ball.
There are a lot.
Yeah,
there are a fucking lot. But there's another one coming out this week about Brawly in Dragon Ball Super. So I can only imagine there's going to be some...
So who is Brawly? I know he was added to Dragon Ball Fighter Z. That's the first time I heard about him.
So Brawly was introduced in a movie only, and then he had 2 more movies because people were like, Brawly's sick. It was kind of part of the whole late 90s like edgy, like, oh, I'm the secret badass Super Saiyan you never knew about. And he's he wrecks everyone's shit single-handedly. He's buff as fuck. He's the actual legendary Super Saiyan, not Goku.
What?
And
not
he's
Kakarot.
Just ridiculously strong. Not Kakarot. And he's just super strong. And he's epic. And the movie starts with him accidentally destroying a galaxy.
Oh, okay.
He's just way too strong. And he gets triggered. Like, literally, he gets triggered when he hears the word Kakarot.
Oh.
Because when they were babies, Kakarot was in the little baby thing next to Brawly. And Kakarot didn't stop crying. And then Brawly really didn't like that.
Oh,
so
okay.
That's why Brawly gets mad.
That's some good motivation.
That's the character. That is the character. And people like him. So he had 2 more movies and he was put in fighters, even though Akira Toriyama, the maker of Dragon Ball Z, did not make Brawly. Like, some other dude made the movie and he made Brawly. And
Okay.
Akira Toriyama hates Brawly. But eventually he was like, all right, fine. Put him in. And now that they're making Dragon Ball Super still, they're making the Brawly movie. And it's official canon.
Oh, is it? Are all the movies canon? Because you said they're in a separate universe, so...
Yeah, so the new movies are canon. Like, the Dragon Ball Super movies, like, there was Battle of the Gods, Resurrection F, that came out in, like, the past 5 years or so. Like, the new-ish movies are canon. But the really old, like, bunch of movies with, like, Cooler, Brawly, and all the Android 13, they were all just, like, whatever movies.
Okay, I gotcha.
Separate adventures. It's stupid. It's dumb. The Dragon Ball timeline is stupid, but
yeah,
it's characters screaming and shooting beams at each other.
I always like think about like how cool it would be to get into it, because it's, you know, it's kind of a cool show and a cool premise, but it's just at this point I feel like it's too late. There's so much to catch up on, so many movies, so many different series. Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Z.
I think if you wanted to even attempt to get into it, you should just watch Dragon Ball Z Kai, which is the they trimmed a lot of fat in the series, and it's still like 100 something episodes.
Yeah, because there's a lot of fat in those original episodes.
Yeah, it's like originally 300 episodes, and they trimmed it to like 150 or something.
Okay.
But if you were to try, DBZ Kai would be what you would want. But I love DBZ because I've watched it since I can remember anything.
So I take it, are you all caught up on like the episodes coming out, or you?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've watched all of Dragon Ball Super. I've watched all the movies. And me and my buddy, who is like pretty much the same as me in terms of Dragon Ball, we're going to go see it on Monday.
Oh, nice.
And it's going to be epic. Well, maybe.
We look forward to your review next week on it.
Oh, yes, of course.
But kind of going back to last week, not quite talking about our overall GDQ experiences, but we hung out a lot, as we usually do at GDQs, and we watched a ton of movies, just somehow. I don't even, like, 2 a day, pretty much, it seems like.
We watched a lot of shit.
So I believe we talked about Bandersnatch when it first came out, or at least I did, gave my initial reaction to it.
Yes.
And I originally watched that by myself and got like 3 or 4 of the endings before I just gave up on it. And then at AGDQ, I had the experience of going into it with a room full of people all making the decision, kind of experiencing it for the first time and seeing how you guys like chose different decisions,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't make it any better.
And I was in control of the remote, so even when people said to pick one thing, I just did something else, which was fun for me. But yeah, Bandersnatch, I was not a big fan. We did a lot of endings, I feel. I could be wrong about that, but we were getting to a point that felt like near the end, pretty much, and it kept taking us backwards, and then we kept going forward, probably like 4 times.
Yeah,
And
I'd say like maybe 2/3 of the endings were shown at GDQ.
yeah, and I didn't like it that much.
It's actually weird because I got like the other 1/3 of the endings by myself.
Oh, so you pretty much saw the rest of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
After I did my original playthrough or watch through or whatever you want to call it, I kind of went and looked up what the other endings were about and how to get them, because I was just curious. And then going through it, I was like, oh, these guys are going down this certain path.
Yeah.
Which is cool. But
yeah, you can like do the little game that they actually have from the story or whatever.
Yeah, there's actually, for people that don't know, I haven't looked it up, there is a way you go back. I don't remember exactly how you go back to when you can pick the music on the bus initially, but you can pick a certain tape that says Bandersnatch, and it plays a certain like background noise from one of the PCs that they used at the time, or like supposed to have used. And then if you run that through an emulator, it gives you a QR code which you can scan, and that takes you to a website they created for Tuckersoft, which is the development company in the show or movie, and that will allow you to play Nosedive, which is really cool, having stuff like that in there.
I do like that about it. But the whole series of choices you had itself, I was like, it kind of feels like you pick one thing and that punishes you for it anyways, and then it takes you back and makes you go through it, and you have to pick the other thing. And I was like, and then the actual thing isn't like satisfying at all. I was like, this is kind of blech.
I definitely think it's a good proof of concept of what they want to do with it and where they can take it.
Yeah,
but I like itself, the idea. It just kind of loops back on itself. Kind of spoilers, but when you start talking about like watching him and breaking the fourth wall, that part for me is just like,
yeah,
this is a little too much
flat to me.
But it's very Black Mirror.
It sucks. It fucking sucks. Shit. It's fucking garbage. Backyard wrestling is better.
Yeah, we did end up watching a lot of backyard wrestling as well.
Holy shit. CFH, backyard wrestling?
CHW.
CHW. That's the shit. We watched hella backyard wrestling at GDQ. It was the hypest thing we've ever seen.
We've actually watched them at previous GDQs. We watched like one video and people were done with it. But we were looking for stuff to watch, and I was just like, you know what? Let's throw backyard wrestling on again. It's hilarious.
Try. It's kind of the best thing.
And it just stuck. So we watched a lot of that. A lot of people hitting each other with street signs and
yeah. For context, it's basically. Did we determine where these people were based from?
It was either Canada or Ireland.
Yeah, I feel like it was Ireland because they had the flag everywhere, but it seemed like Canada too.
Yeah, it was weird
stuff. It was really weird, but it's basically just these crazy ass rednecks in their backyard with a bunch of tables. They make their own tables to break all the time. They got ladders, they got street signs, and the cookie pans, and they just beat the shit out of each other in like kind of the way you would do in the like playground when you're a kid, where it's just like really soft hits, and then you pretend you like get super owned, and then some other guy comes in and he's the new like badass for like a minute, and then he like owns everyone. Then everyone gets together, throws him through a table. It's the best. It's the best. And one of the standout characters, they all have personas and names. One of the best characters is Rob Banks. And he's a bank robber.
Pretty good.
And he has a mask and he never talks and he sucks. He sucks, but he's hilarious. He's like the Dan of Street Fighter for backyard wrestling.
I think what makes their backyard wrestling so good is they don't use a ring. It's very clearly their backyard.
It's freestyle.
You see their neighbor's house, cars driving by, people just stopping and watching. It's just like 10, 30-year-olds in their backyard beating each other up, quote unquote.
It's not a joke at all. It's played. It's like they're serious. It's just what they do in their yard.
It's pretty good,
and it's something wholesome and hilarious and awesome about it that kept us glued to it for like half of GDQ. So shout outs to Backyard Wrestling. They retired in 2016, but they have a lot of videos to watch.
Yeah, if you want to spend your week watching Backyard Wrestling, you can. There's like 7 seasons worth of stuff out there. But another movie we watched that featured a lot of characters beating each other up was Ready Player One, which I had not seen until
me neither.
That
me neither, and it was exactly what I thought it was, and kind of more boring than I thought. So Ready Player One is kind of known for having just shitloads of cameos of characters, but that's only probably like 10% of the movie. The rest of the movie is like really stupid story.
Yeah, I mean, really, like nothing happens. In that movie. There's 3 challenges which they kind of blow through. It's like they have a very initial moment of not understanding how to do the challenge, and then like a minute later they've solved it.
They solve it in a really dumb way. Like
that
the first challenge is a race, and apparently hundreds of people do this race in this VR game. They do it like every day, and nobody can figure it out. You gotta go forward, and everyone gets owned by like King Kong and the Jurassic Park T-Rex and shit. And then one day, like after I guess hundreds of races, the main character, he looks at some archive of the guy who made the VR. Was it called the Oasis?
The Oasis, yeah.
And he listens to this recording that apparently he's listened to a bunch of times. That was like an interview or something of the creator. And the creator's like, yeah, it's really crazy. You have to go backwards. And then the main character's like, wait, play that back again. He's like, you have to go backwards. You have to go backwards. You have to go backwards. And he's like, you have to go backwards. And then he goes backwards in the race and he wins. Yeah. It's that dumb. It's so bad. It is a waste of time to watch it. I would say that.
I don't know if it's a waste of time because it is cool to see the references, just because they're like all together. But besides that, cool. If you're looking for like a good movie, like an interesting story to get into, this is not one.
Yeah, I'd say you could watch like the big battles and the big race. Those picking out the references is cool.
I'd say the one part you should watch if you want to go look it up. I don't know if it's on YouTube or something, but when they go to the set of The Shining, that part is
true. That
really cool.
That part was fun. I will give that movie that. The Shining whole scene is great.
You could tell they didn't have the rights or like the likeness of Jack Nicholson because it's very clearly shot with his parts, just not him in the movie. Yeah,
there's no his face. Clearly, we pointed that out too. We were like, they didn't show Jack Nicholson. That's probably like a legal thing.
Yeah.
But
that scene was really cool. In a whole world of like CG, that kind of looked like, I don't know if it was the actual set. I'm sure that like information's out there, or if it was they built it, or if it was CG. I don't know, but it
looked great.
Yeah.
I would say it is a movie worth watching with your buds, because I wouldn't have watched that alone. Whoever put that on, I think it was our buddy Zephyr's.
I think it was just on TV, to be honest.
Yeah, he just put it on, and we were like, "This is what we're watching now," and then we watched it. Another movie I watched. You weren't there for this. I was hanging out with Studio Caveman. I think Dime was there. There's a few of us watching the Dead Rising movie that was just on Amazon Prime Video, I think. Apparently there's 2 Dead Rising movies, and we watched the first one. It was really bad, but it was enough to make fun of with friends.
So is it anything like the game, or is it just they use the name Dead Rising and zombies?
It is like the game. Okay. They have Zombrex in it as like a main thing. They make a new protagonist, but Frank West is in it. But he's just kind of like a side jokey character.
Okay.
And it's a really cheesy zombie movie. It's kind of hilarious in how like cheesy it is and how campy it is. I would definitely recommend watching that with some buddies.
Yeah. Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a fun time.
So we, by some stroke of coincidence, we ended up watching a clip from a movie called Blockers or Blocked or something like that, I think. It has John Cena in it as a parent.
Oh, yeah.
And we stumbled upon a clip of a butt chugging scene from that because we were watching Jackass.
Yeah, the butt chug.
And then you weren't there for this, but I went back to my hotel room, and it just happened to be on TV, so I was like, well, I gotta watch it. And I watched that.
This has to happen.
I don't know how that movie got pitched to studio executives and how it got greenlit, because it is the strangest setup for a plot I've ever seen. It's about three parents that are trying to stop their teenage daughters from having sex on prom night. So I never felt like, am I supposed to root for the girls to have sex?
Yeah, who's the protagonist here?
Or am I supposed to be rooting for the parents to stop their kids from having sex?
Yeah, it is literally like all about perspective and like who you are. It's like, am I the parent? If you're a dad who has a daughter, maybe you root for the parents. But if you're like anyone else,
it's so weird because it's like kids having sex. Like that's what you're rooting for or against. And it's like, I don't feel comfortable with this.
Prom night is about trying to get the fun times. Yeah, that's really weird. How does John Cena get into the butt chugging situation?
So there's a part when the kids have gone from prom to like a house where there's a party.
Yes. And
the parents are like stalking them, apparently, trying to find out where they are and how to stop it. So they find out where the house is and they go there. But the people having the party are like, you can't come in because we don't think you're cool, essentially. Like, you might be a cop or whatever. Like, oh, let's have a chugging contest to show that I can hang with the kids. And then it turns out they meant a butt chugging contest, and they do that. So,
and they do that. That sounds interesting. I just remembered another. Oh, were you?
Well, I was gonna say I would love to have been in the room when John Cena like read the script and was like, I want to do this movie, and then he finds out he has to do a butt chugging scene.
Yeah, it was like, weird to see like John Cena drop trow and just see like all of his legs, his fucking thunder thighs. Holy shit!
That's probably why I did it, to be honest. But
yeah, he wanted to show off his, whatever the fuck muscles. I haven't been working out a lot, so we did work out at GDQ though one day. Mm. We did 1 day of working out, and my body died. But I did want to bring up, I totally forgot we watched this. I think you were there for this, but we watched Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday.
Yep, I was there. That movie.
This was a movie.
To be honest, I don't remember much of it other than like the beginning, which was so over the top it was stupid, and then like the ending. But
yeah,
I don't remember the whole middle part of what was like,
I was
the plot.
I was awake for the whole thing. I still don't remember it. All I remember is the thumbnail had Freddy Krueger's like claw hand, and I was like, "Oh, is this like a prelude to Freddy versus Jason?" And the only time that happens, I'm just gonna spoil it, is at the very end, like right before the credits. Freddy Krueger's hand like comes out of the ground or something.
Yeah,
like, why was that in the thumbnail for the whole movie? What the frick?
So it's one of those like stingers they put at the end of the movie. It's like, oh, a sequel may be coming. You know, get hyped. It's Freddy versus Jason. Oh. But then Netflix has that stinger as the like thumbnail for the movie, which is very, very odd.
Very strange choice of advertising there.
Yeah, like the movie opens up with Jason being completely blown to smithereens by like guns and bombs and all sorts of stuff by the FBI. Then he starts switching bodies. Like if he touches someone, he can switch into their body.
He has to like make out with somebody, and the worm comes out. Like Jason is actually like this little like worm alien thing.
Is that what happened
at some point? Yeah, like anytime he like exploded or something, like anytime he tried to transfer his body to someone else's, this like worm came out, and that was Jason. And then once that worm got into the person, they were now Jason.
I think you're making that up.
No, no. I was awake during the whole movie.
So was I.
Don't you remember when they did something to?
I remember people kissing, and that's how it transferred. I don't remember a worm coming out.
No, the worm jumped out, and it was like running around. They're like, where did he just go? And then the worm. Yes, they say I'm right. Sadly,
maybe I wasn't awake for the whole movie.
It was. I remember it because it was supremely stupid.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, this is the game now, or a movie now. Sorry, I'm looking at GDQ's videos, and I have games on the brain.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that was a Jason movie. I thought I'd seen most of the stupid Jason movies, like
there's
Jason X, Freddy vs. Jason, which has some moments in it.
Yeah, the fights are like kind of interesting, but
yeah,
I haven't seen Jason X in a long time.
It's not good.
That's GDQ. We'll watch it.
He gets like sucked out into space. Pretty much is how that ends.
That's hot.
But maybe they'll do a Jason. They'll do a follow up to Jason X one day, where it's Jason versus xenomorphs.
I would watch that.
I would too.
Okay, I would have my money. I think Jason would lose, like super hard, actually. Because even if Jason cuts the alien, like the acid's gonna like, I don't know.
Yeah, but he can just then use this worm to transfer into a xenomorph or into a predator. Jason Predator.
Oh, that would be dope.
That would be dope.
Imagine a Predator. We watched Predator 2. Or Predator 1.
Yeah,
we watched Predator also. I forgot about that.
I did too.
No, people weren't into it. People were falling asleep. And I was like, this is like the manliest movie of all time. What's wrong with you all?
I mean, it does age pretty well, but it's one of those, like, it's not over the top action. It's a lot of just like people in the jungle, like, looking out for stuff.
Yeah, it's to build tension. It's from a different time.
Yeah,
it doesn't have explosions all the time.
It's definitely a good movie.
But
it's got good moments in it, but it is kind of a slow burn for a while.
Imagine Predator with the hockey mask on. He's just Jason.
He just takes it off and it's Freddy Krueger.
Yeah. Just take all the other villains and make them like one villain versus whoever alien. The AVP movies are bad.
Yeah, I think I watched the second one where they're like in a school for most of it.
Yeah, did we watch that for a movie night one night?
I don't think so. I saw it in theater.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's how long ago it was.
Jesus.
Yeah.
You're an OG AVP2 fan.
Actually, I couldn't buy the ticket to go see the movie because they thought I wasn't old enough. When I went to go buy a ticket, they're like, no, you need a parent. Because I think it was rated R, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, so I definitely wasn't old enough. So I had to get my friend's parent who had dropped us off to come back and buy my ticket for me to let me go watch it. But not worth it in the long run.
Then it was your favorite movie of all time.
Don't they just nuke the whole thing anyways at the end? Like,
yes. Yes. Spoilers.
There's like all this stuff happening, you know, can they get away? And then the government just nukes the whole town.
The government's like, fuck it, it's fucked. Just blow it up.
Which, I mean, honestly, that's the smart play. That's what they should do in every movie.
Yeah, it's like a zombie apocalypse.
Zombie outbreak, nuke the fucking town.
Like, we don't know how to kill this thing, and it's gonna spread. Just neutralize everything.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Which is a good way to solve a lot of horror movies.
Did we watch any other movies? I feel like we did. I just can't remember.
I think we totally did. If not just a bunch of random YouTube videos, some food videos, some kangaroo fighting. There was a lot of other.
Some Eric Andre.
Eric Andre was a good time.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun night. That was when Studio just showed up with a 6-pack and burned through them.
That's what you do.
That's what you do at GDQ.
But besides just watching random movies, I don't know if you want to go ahead and get into our overall AGDQ experience, what we thought about
AGDQ 2019. Man, where to even start with AGDQ? I guess starting with traveling to the event. I had nice, safe, smooth travels. I don't know about you, but getting there was fine. And then the actual layout of the marathon was great. I think this is one of my favorite GDQs, like layout wise. The hotel was really cool. I liked how they had a whole underground area, which is where they had the board game room, smash room, private practice room. I loved it. I loved everything about this hotel. I don't know about you, but it was great.
I have mixed feelings about the hotel because on one hand, it seemed really nice. It seemed clean and professional. But on the other hand, it's like it didn't quite live up to that. Like the beds are a little bit smaller than I felt like it should be for most hotels.
Yeah. The queen beds were full beds in the rooms themselves, which was disappointing especially for anyone sharing beds, which I was.
The breakfast situation was pretty terrible.
Yeah. So the breakfast at previous GDQs was usually like a breakfast buffet, and you get your tickets for everyone gets their tickets for it. This one though was every single room, the entire room got one set of breakfast tickets. So one person was going to be cashing it in per room. And the actual breakfast was just a cart with some bagels and fruits on it.
Yeah.
That was it.
So even if it had been a good breakfast, if you had 4 people in your room, which most people do, that means 1 out of the 4 people could use that ticket
to get per day. Shitty breakfast.
So 3 people were out of luck. Even if it was good, but like no one ever used it because it was just shit. You just go out and eat with friends instead.
I think no, I didn't use any of mine a single time because De Gaulle told me, he was like, "Hey, that's shit," and I was like, "Well, shit."
Yeah, it's when we had gotten the tickets and before we knew what it was, we were discussing like, hey, maybe you'll take this the first day and I'll take it the second day. I just like, I don't really care. You can just take it and use it. And he said it was pretty shitty. I was like, all right, well, we're just not going to do those anymore. Which I saw someone tweet out, which is pretty funny after the event. It's like, you weren't really at AGDQ if you didn't end up with 1 less breakfast ticket than when you started.
I saw that tweet.
And I was
like, I had all of them.
So many people were in that same situation. They used it once, realized it was bad, and then doing that.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
It's not really anything the hotel can control because there's this construction, but the sketchy hallway you got to walk down.
The murder hallway. Oh my God. It was the most awkward hallway. You couldn't like meet anyone in that hallway. If you like were going down that hallway opposite ways, then you're like, whoa, what's up, man? Just like some like person you haven't seen. You had to get out of that hallway because you couldn't hang out there.
Yeah.
It was like a fire hazard if you hung out there.
It's like driving down, like it's supposed to be a 2-way street, but there's cars parked on either side, so it's like one. So you have to like pull over if a car's coming towards you. It was like that, but in a hallway.
Yeah. It was because of construction, I think.
It kind of sucked that was how you had to go to get to the GDQ event and stuff.
Yeah. I also, I hated what the bar situation was like. So when you go into the hotel, you had like the lobby front desk, which was like the tiniest front desk you have ever seen. It had like 3 hotel people like working at it.
Well, I believe even that was technically an under construction problem because there was a whole space behind them that was for a long time walled off. And like the last day they had taken that down. So I believe that was still kind of just an under construction thing.
Yeah, I wasn't there when that happened. Yeah, so it was like that, like tiny desks, so because it was under construction. Then you go to the left a little bit and the bar is just like against a wall. And it's like still in the lobby. So everyone sitting at the bar is like everyone from the lobby is walking behind you at the bar, which is next to some tables, which I guess is supposed to be their like cafe or restaurant.
Yeah, it's where you can get food.
It was the most uncomfortable, like looking, like when you go to a bar in a hotel, it should be like in the separate cafe, like the lighting's different, the colors are all different, you're away from the lobby. But this one was just like lobby and bar right here. Everyone can see you. Everyone in the event is looking at you, which is why I never went to go drink at the bar because I was like, this feels awful. This feels like everyone's going to be just staring at me being drunk.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the time at GDQs, people end up like, oh, we don't know where we want to eat. We don't feel like walking out, so we're just going to go to the hotel diner or restaurant or whatever. And it's just like, I never had that compulsion to go eat there because it was just so awkwardly placed in the middle.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you had to wait for a table or if you had to like ask for a table and menus or what. So
we just didn't bother with it. Yeah, I would see like like I remember we saw a Sinister One. He was just sitting there with his breakfast. He was just sitting there reading his phone, and I was just looking at him while we were just walking to the stream room, and I was like, I wouldn't want just like my dumbass like looking at me like eating there. I would want to be like in a cafe, like away from everything. That's why I never ate there.
It's kind of weird. I mean, elevators for the most part were pretty good.
Elevator situation was fine.
The stairs were a little awkward. There's no way from the lobby to get to the stairs. Once you were
Seems like a fire
up,
hazard.
Yeah, once you were up on like the second floor or higher, you could go to the stairs, and if you went down, it'd take you past the lobby and outside. So, I mean, fire hazard wise, you were still safe, but it was just really strange not to be able to just take the stairs from the lobby.
Yeah,
I don't know why that was made that way.
And this maybe seems like a lot of like weird things that we're pointing out, hotel nuances, but it's a big deal when you're actually there. I will tell you that, because it's like your whole experience for the whole week, so you notice these things.
Yeah. Luckily, they did have a pretty nice gym that we went
They
to.
had a very nice gym. They had a lot of good equipment there.
I was actually meaning to go back to it before I left on Sunday. I just didn't feel like getting out of bed. Because I realized the travel I had coming ahead. I was like, I'm just going to rest, take it easy. And thank God I did, because I would have been so much worse off if I'd worked out that day.
We can get to that later. Everyone leaving.
You got some fun words for that.
Jesus Christ. So yeah, that was the marathon. That was the event itself. I guess next I wanted to touch on like the games list itself, like the runs, or did you want to talk about specific runs?
You can do either.
That. Okay.
I don't
what
have
did you think
plan.
about? Did you watch a lot of the runs? I really didn't, but did you watch?
People have asked me like what runs I've watched, or you know, like if I watch certain ones, and it's thinking back, most of the times I would say I watched runs. They were just in the background when we were chilling in a hotel room, or if you know, I was going in and out of my room to grab something. Like I just always had the TV on, so if I walked in, I'd see like, oh, this runs on or whatever, and then walk back out.
Watch it for a few minutes and then be like, oh, this is dumb.
But besides couching for Dishonored: Death of the Outsider and watching it via that, and then watching Dime's 2 Doom runs, there weren't many runs I watched from start to finish. Like sat down and actually like, oh, I want to watch this run, which it's kind of the way I went into it, because a lot of runs don't excite me. Either I've not played them, I don't care for the speed run, or it's just I don't
the genre.
Yeah, it's not for me.
That's totally fair.
But usually it's like if once the event's over and people talk about certain runs, I'm like, oh, I'll go back and watch that. Like your run, I need to go back and watch.
Sort out what's worth it.
Yeah. Well, not even necessarily what's worth it, just like kind of things the way people talk about it, because there's runs people will always talk about as being like the run for the marathon, like Super Metroid or Mario Odyssey. It's like, you know, those might be good runs, they just don't interest me, so I'm gonna dig a little deeper.
Yes, but I agree. I do the same thing pretty much. I just wait till the marathon's over. I didn't actually watch a lot of the runs, unless they were like my friends. Like I did watch Prey Moon Crash. I tried to get down when your run started, but those elevators were all broken, apparently. There was only one working when we were all trying to go down. So it took us about 15 minutes to get down. So I got down there late. I saw your Moon Crash run. I saw Dime's runs, Dishonored. I watched the Metal Gear 1 and 2 runs, the originals, because I did play those and I really wanted to see them. And those were really good. I really liked Metal Gear 2. That was one of my favorites of the run.
Yeah, I was in the stream room for that, because we like met up for that.
Yeah.
But I didn't actually like watch it. I didn't know what was going on.
I liked it more just because I played it. And I was like, oh, this is awesome that you can do it like this way. Like I appreciated it because I played it, not just like, oh, this is a crazy game I've never seen. But I did watch a lot of Awful Block, and that was a lot of, oh, this is a crazy game I've never seen. And those Awful Block was great. I really like, I was just waiting for my run because I was in Awful Block, and I watched before and after my run. Those are all really fun.
Like, usually Awful Block is a pretty good time. This is the first time in a couple GDQs when they've had it where it's actually been like a standout selection of games. Like every run in Awful Games really was good. One people have been talking about. Whereas before it's just like, oh, Awful Games was pretty fun. But this, out of the remaining blocks they still kind of do, it's definitely probably the highlight.
Yeah, I'd say you should always have an Awful Block, because that's fun. It's fun to see those games get kind of a spotlight, and then the people actually talk about them, not in a like, wow, look how bad this game is. Like they actually still explain like tech and like why this works. and they like the game a lot. And I have a different appreciation for those types of games. I'm like, this is nice that they're like explaining it. It's not just like basically the devs didn't know blah blah blah. Like it was actually like commentated well.
Yeah,
which I really like.
I mean, most of the people that end up having those awful game runs are veterans of like GDQs and speedruns that know how to run games and do interesting commentary. So it's a good time.
I did want to talk about TaskBot for just a moment. TaskBot had a block, as it does, where it shows off a few games. I don't remember the first one. I think it was Mario Portal. It was
they
like
did,
a ROM hack.
Yeah, Mario
something. Yeah, that like no one's played, or maybe like hardcore ROM hackers have played, but it was like, here's the Mario, but it has like Portal mechanics, and here's a task of 4-player co-op or something. And I was like, I don't know what this is or what's going on. This is dumb.
Mm-hmm.
And then they finished that. Castlevania Aria of Sorrow was next, and I actually like that one. There was a lot of cool movement tech and clips and warps and all this zips and stuff like that. I was like, okay, that was pretty cool. Then they ended it with Task Scribblenauts, which is one of the worst GDQ things I've seen ever. There were probably worse, but this one was really bad.
Yeah.
To kind of shorten it, the Scribblenauts task was a Twitch plays Scribblenauts, and in Scribblenauts they got, I don't know how that game plays, but every time they got to a point where it's like, cut this person's hair, they're in the chair, and you have to like write something. They had 4 options for Twitch chat, and they voted on it. And whichever one got the most votes, they had a little pie chart during the run, and they were like, "Oh, which one's gonna win? Oh, it's use the whatever." And then next to TaskBot was this little box with a machine that actually moved the stylus to like write the word, and that's what it was. That's all it was. And then it wrote the word, not fast or anything like that. It just wrote the word. It was a little machine, and I didn't get it. It wasn't a speed run. It wasn't like a cool task. It was just like a thing. I don't get it.
So I'm trying to figure out exactly where I want to start my rant about task block. Ever since
you want. Ever since whatever started task block.
Ever since the first task block they did, or TaskBot run they did, how many ever GDQs ago? I don't remember what it was, what they did it for. But ever since then, they've been trying to up themselves in some way. And just every time, I do not get it. I don't understand what the fuck they are doing. It's
so I can interject a little bit. I do like tasks. I like tasks. I like to watch them just for novelty. Just like, oh wow, that's fucking crazy. That's about it.
I'll just go with this one because I could go on about it for a while. But the Mario one, the problem was like no one's played it. If you do a task of a game, if you do a speedrun of a game at a GDQ, you have to expect that most people have either not played the game or not seen the game. So you have to give them the commentary and the knowledge of what the game is and then what you're doing and how that's faster. With tasks, that's commentate it. You have to do even more so with tasks because it's going so fast and doing so many crazy things that humans theoretically can't do.
Yeah.
That you really have to explain it. And like the Aria of Sorrow run, it was an interesting task to watch, even not knowing the game. But the commentary was terrible.
It wasn't. Yeah, it was not good commentary.
I was just sitting there like, if they did actually good commentary for that run, it would have been amazing. But there's so many times I was like, I don't know what's happening, and they're not telling me what's going on. And it was so frustrating to watch.
Yeah, I will agree with some people in chat. Brain Age was good because most people know what that game is about. Mm-hmm. It's just a quiz game. You draw like pictures or words as answers. And the way they did Brain Age was so like smart and funny. And you could clearly see they were like manipulating the answers and like drawing like silly shit. and they turned out to be the answers because they just knew how the game worked. Like that was really good, and they commentated it pretty well from what I remember. But yeah, this one was just like no one knew about the games or cared that much. Like Aria of Sorrow was the best, and it wasn't even like that good. That's how not good it was.
Yeah, there's
It's kind of
something.
like if you had. Go ahead.
There's something to like easy games to explain. Like Brain Age, they did a great job of it's a simple concept and they just did it to the extreme. Like the Super Mario runs that they've done, it's everyone knows Mario. It's very simple, and then they took it to the extreme. They did like Mario Maker within the game, and just converted it completely and crazy stuff. When you just, I'm gonna get to the Scribblenauts thing in a second because I have a huge hatred for that run. But if you're gonna do a task, you have to make something that's simple. And at least if you're gonna show it off at GDQs, I think at this point it has to be a simple to understand game done to the extreme. Because like they've proven time and time again, their commentary is not at that level to give any insight on what's happening in the game or why the task is so special.
Yeah, if it's just like here's what's oh, this is crazy, but it's like a game no one knows. It's just like, okay, why is this crazy? What's happening? What am I seeing?
It feels like for them, they spend a lot of time working on how they're getting it to work, like exactly what goes into like the coding and the designing of everything, that they forget like that's not something people either care about or will be able to understand. And the end product being the task or the speed run is what you're showing off there. And if that's not appealing, you're going to lose everybody, which is kind of what we saw like with the Mario thing. Nobody understood what the fuck was going on. And they're just like, I don't really care. And then Scribblenauts thing was the only thing that made it a task was the fact that they're using a robot to move the stylus. It was essentially, it wasn't even Twitch plays Scribblenauts. They chose certain scenarios within the game and set up a straw poll. That's all they did.
Which is essentially they just made 4 different tasks. Not like it's not Twitch plays anything. That's the dumb thing about it.
Like I could do that exact same run in like 10 minutes. Like I could go load up Scribblenauts, go to those scenarios, and set up a straw poll and have you guys vote. And then enter that manually, and it's the exact same end product.
That's why I had a problem with it. It wasn't a speed run. It wasn't a super play. It wasn't even a Twitch plays. It wasn't even Skype on the Super Nintendo or whatever from that one GDQ. That was actually pretty interesting. This was just like Scribblenauts. We made the stylus right. That was just like a fun engineering project in your off time. It wasn't something that needed to take up GDQ time. All of FF9 speedrun was more valid than that TaskBot Scribblenauts thing, in my opinion.
I don't want to go so far as to say, TaskBot or TaskBlock should be taken out from GDQs. I think it does have a place.
It should be reevaluated.
I think they should take a GDQ off, really figure out what makes it special and work on that and work out some sort of commentary, have someone that's run the game, maybe doesn't even know the task, but just run the game or has played the game. I don't fucking know.
Somebody did say something.
Commentate it.
Yes, somebody said something in chat that I really vibe with here. They're so absorbed in like the nerdiness of tasking and things that they're very interested in that they didn't really consider what an audience would be able to watch and like. They just did whatever and they brought it to GDQ, and then it was suddenly on a stream with a bunch of people watching it. And they didn't really consider that part of it all. They just assumed everyone watching it would just know tasks and be interested in like technical engineering stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with like the Tetris runs. Like Tetris is pretty good, but I don't need that necessarily every GDQ.
Every time, yeah.
And if you do, it needs to be something new and like special. Otherwise, it's like, I've seen this before. I get it's something special, but it's just like You got to give me more than just saying, "Oh, this is crazy! Woo! Look at me."
Yeah, I think it was SGDQ 2015, which was when the first time Tetris block was actually put up there, and we were there, and we went down to watch it, and by the time it was over, we were like, "Damn, that was awesome!" And I got a standing ovation. Then the very next one, I think it was still at, is that AGDQ 2016, and it was just like it was still a thing.
Yeah.
And then like it was at a couple more GDQs, and we're like, okay, it's Tetris. Got it. Like, it's impressive, yes, but kind of done with it. Let's get on to more speedruns. Want to see more speedruns? That's how I felt, but that's kind of how I felt other speedrunners felt about it, talking to people.
Yeah, I do want to say something. It's like having other people potentially taking over for task block or submitting their own tasks. Honestly, there's not that many people making tasks or that involved in that task community, as far as I'm aware, to where, you know, they could really theoretically change that up.
Yeah, I think task block should only be there if they really have something special to show. Yeah. I don't think they should just be given a default slot, because what I like to do sometimes is I like to go to task runs and just watch some of their star runs or whatever. They have the rankings. They have like star, moon, vault, or whatever. I just watch some of their top runs of like recent times, and I'm like, dang, that was really cool. But if they don't have like something really special, I feel like they don't need to be put in just because they're task block. Like, they should have something to show off. I think they should be put against the same standards as all the runners submitting for GDQs, not just be put in because they're task block. Because tasks are, the tasks are perfect speedruns. We're speedrunning. It's like, no, make sure they're showing off something good with good commentary, then let them in.
I think the other issue with task block and showing off tasks is it feels weird if they just show up and play a video, right? It's like, because, you know, they could just have for every speedrun at the event.
That's why they have task bot.
But at the same point, it's like they get so involved of like, well, what can we actually do with task bot itself to make it more of a live run? And that's an answer I don't have, or that's a question I don't have an answer for. Of like, where do you stop
show a YouTube video?
Showing YouTube videos and like incorporate that into TaskBot. I don't know. I definitely think it should be reevaluated at this point.
It's a strange issue to have. Yeah, you hit it on the money for sure, because it's something that is in speedrunning and it is interesting, but it's like, how do you implement it? TaskBot was the answer for a while, and I don't think that's the answer anymore if you're putting in not entertaining runs.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if
weird.
There weren't really any major controversies as far as like the stream itself goes, or any like crazy shenanigans going on. There were a few runs I know that got mercy killed. Divinity, I believe, got mercy killed.
Divinity was the standout. Yeah.
There's some runs that went over time, which always happens.
I went over time, but I had the best run of the marathon, so it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you got promoted by Twitch, so there you go.
That's right.
But they didn't credit you for it, so, you know.
What? I found that glitch. I didn't even strat steal this time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
This time.
I'm going to talk to Arthur Blues. See what he has to say about it.
No. Do you want to talk about... Let's talk about Prey, Moon Crash.
Oh, boy.
It's BT time. Story time.
So, I mean, this is one of the few times I felt like I actually did a good job showcasing it. There's been times in the past where like I feel like either my time wasn't good enough, or I hold myself to high standards when it comes to showcasing stuff. Like either my run wasn't clean enough or my commentary didn't explain things well enough, which for this run, I still feel like in certain parts that's the case. I have to rewatch it. Maybe I'm being too harsh. But the story of getting Abigail Tyson, who's the community manager for Bethesda, on couch was so stressful. It literally came together at the last possible moment. And I was freaking out for like an hour beforehand. That's
fair.
It was such a relief. I was like still trying to calm down and think that through during my run. So I have to go back and watch the first part of that because I really don't know what was going on at that moment.
That absolutely happens to me too.
So for anyone,
like, I don't remember any of that.
Not aware, and it's kind of, I kept it quiet for a long time because I didn't know if it was going to happen. But
you actually said one really funny comment during your run. I think she said something like, I think like something went slightly wrong, and she was like, "You're keeping cool," but or she was like, "You're keeping real cool during this part," and you're like, "No, it's all facade."
Yeah, it pretty much
like
was.
This. I was like, "I know that's true. he's telling the truth. He's freaking out."
But over on Bethesda's Twitch channel for past couple months, every Monday they do Moon Crash Mondays, where for about an hour and a half they'd sit down and play a little bit of Moon Crash until they finally beat it right before the new year started. And nice. So, like the second or third time they did the stream, the speedrunning community behind Pre Moon Crash kind of found it. We're like, oh hey, that's cool. You know, let's reach out to them and maybe they'll shout us out or something. So we got in contact and it was like, hey, you know, if an event pops up, if someone goes to like TwitchCon or a PAX or something, but you know, contact them and maybe set something up for those. And none of us ever did. Nobody went to TwitchCon, nobody went to Gamescom, that kind of thing. And then the run got accepted for AGDQ, so I messaged him and was like, hey, you know, I know for SGDQ and the normal Prey run, you guys offered up an incentive and donated a prize, I believe. So I just reached out and said, hey, if you want to do something again, it's coming up. These are dates. And, you know, I gave an open invitation to the Moon Crash Monday stream or anyone from Arcane or Bethesda that wanted to come out to the event to be on couch or just, you know, the chill. I did that like 2 months ago, maybe. I sent that initial email to him. Kind of got back like, hey, this is kind of cool. I'll pass along the message. And then like nothing. And then right before Christmas, I believe, I kind of sent them another message like, hey, it's getting a little closer. I haven't heard anything back. You know, just want to see where we are. If you guys want to possibly do something. Said, hey, we're still thinking things through. And then that was pretty much it. So went through the holidays, still wasn't sure. And then right before I left, like Wednesday of 2 weeks ago, I sent him another email saying, hey, it's coming up. It starts on Sunday. If you want to get involved, you know, let me know because I may be hard to contact at the event. Mm-hmm. And then like 2 of them were out of the office. And the third one is like, hey, we're thinking of some stuff, but they're out of the office, so I'll get back to you. And then like Tuesday last week, they said, hey, we're going to be at the event in some capacity at some point.
It seemed like they put it off and they were like, oh yeah, does anyone want to go do that thing?
So it's like I wasn't sure who was going to show up, when they were going to show up, if they'd contact me, if they'd be on couch. And then Thursday rolls around, which is the day of the run. I thought my run was going to be about 2 o'clock. It ended up being closer to 1. But around noon, I still hadn't really heard anything at all. I had not met them. I didn't know if they were at the event, if they were on their way, what was going to happen. So I was sitting behind the scenes, like Spoody was doing his run before me. And I was chilling. I was like, I don't have a couch. I don't have anyone else to commentate. I was fully prepared to go into it, solo commentary with no couch.
I was on my way, but the elevators were broke.
And then out of the corner of my eye, I see Abigail and Sean. He wasn't on camera, but he is, I forget his official title. He's an influencer manager. So he kind of works with streamers and it like gives people stream keys for games and stuff that come out. I saw them over talking to staff on like the other side of this giant room.
Did you recognize them?
I did recognize them. I was like, that's them. And this was like, Spoody's run was like a 35-minute estimate or something like that. And it was like 25 minutes in. So I stand up. I'm like, I'm going to go talk to him, introduce myself. Yeah. Start walking over. And they walk out of a door into a hallway behind the scenes. I'm just like, I don't know where the fuck that goes. They're just gone.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go sit back down and maybe they'll pop back up.
What?
Spoody's run ends. I start walking up to the setup my run. And then GDQ staff comes over and like, hey, do you need anything else for your run? Do you have any commentators? I was like, I was going to ask the devs over there.
People.
I was gonna ask the devs if they're gonna be on couch, and they're like, "Oh, those guys," and then they ran off and got him for me and brought him over to talk. There's a picture that GDQ took of like me meeting them, and I was just like so nerve-wracked from what was going on.
Them for the first time?
That was when I met them for the first time.
Yeah, I saw that picture. You talking to him? I thought you were like hashing some final things out.
So it looks like I'm angry or upset in some capacity. Like, you know, I
no, it's just your face.
I was so bewildered and I didn't know what was going on. I was just like, okay, you know, if you want to be on couch, that's great. And I was like, I offered Sean the same thing. He said, no, it's just gonna be Abigail. I'm gonna be off.
He should have been on too.
Yeah, I don't know why he didn't want to be on. I guess it wasn't his thing. But he's been on the Moon Crash Monday stream, so I felt like he could have offered the same sort of commentary.
He's probably nervous or something.
So yeah, if you look at that picture, that's like me literally like saying hi to her for like the first time ever. People may think like we rehearsed some commentary or like moments for her to talk. It was all completely on the fly. That's why I said I have to go back and watch the first part of the run. Because I was thinking, how do I explain this game as quickly as possible, talk about the speedrun tricks I need to, also introduce Abigail and what she does for Moon Crash Mondays, and not mess up in what I'm doing. And it was just, it's such a crazy last minute thing. That was it.
Circumstances.
Yeah. I'm glad it worked out. I mean, she did a fantastic job for not having seen a speedrun of the game before. I obviously played the game enough to know what was kind of going on, but yeah.
I'll be completely honest. I thought just that combination of you and her were like such a contrast, and she was a good audience surrogate, and then you were the runner with all the knowledge, and it worked out perfectly. I think I was watching the whole run. I got there right when your run started. I was like, we were waiting on the elevators for like goddamn 15 minutes. And I was like, God damn it. We got there right when your run started, but it was, I loved it. She did a great job as just being like the normal, like, oh, I just played this game. What? Okay, you're doing that then. That's great. I was like, this is great. This is fun.
Well, I like the Prey Moon Crash run itself. I have to be thinking so many steps out just based on kind of what the game gives me in terms of luck, that there's a point when I asked her who her favorite TV character was, and she gave an answer. I don't even remember what it was, but then she asked me the same thing, and I was like,
all of them.
I was not prepared for you to turn that around. Like, she was like, so what's your favorite character?
That's funny, though.
My mind immediately went to SpongeBob. And I was like, there's no way I can say SpongeBob right now. So I was like,
yes,
all of them.
You could have said Patrick.
But yeah, that moment, great. Like, I don't know if it showed up on camera, but I was like, what the fuck do I say right now? So yeah, I'm glad it worked out. I got the toilet paper and everything, which is cool.
Oh yeah, she's got the toilet paper there. I don't know if how planned out was that? That she just brought the toilet paper up there? Like,
yeah, I thought it was, so they have like coffee cups in the game, and I thought it was one of those for a while. She was gonna give it to me after the run or something. Or is this a prop she was going to hold on to? She's like, oh, I brought this toilet paper for you. And I was like, that's really weird. Like, thinking back, there's a lot of other things I could have said. But yeah.
Yeah, like, this run is shit. It's toilet paper.
Yeah, she was like, oh, I brought this toilet paper for you during the run. I was like, I don't know how to quite respond to that. Like, I want to say thank you because that's awesome to get. It's going to go in my collection of other stuff I've gotten from devs.
Yeah, you got your GDQ badges, then you got your toilet paper. Pretty good.
Unfortunately, I after the run, I went to be on Metro's run for his couch for Dishonored Death of the Outsider. And they went and did an interview, Abigail and Sean, and from the couch I couldn't hear what they were saying, so I had to go back and watch that just because I'm curious. And then between that interview and the run being over for Dishonored, like, they had once again vanished. So I didn't go and I wasn't able to go and talk to him, like, just to, meet him a little bit more than 2 seconds before my run.
Yeah, they were in and out like a one-night stand.
Yeah,
they're just now there, dude.
It was crazy, to say the least.
Before you continue, I just want to give a shout out. Ice Plugs in chat. He did Home Alone 2 during Awful Block. It was one of the best runs in the marathon, in my opinion. It was really funny. He had no couch, which I was pissed about because Ice Plug has been around for a long time. He's awesome. And yeah, his run was really good. I watched it from the comfort of my bed, but shouts to Ice Plug.
I feel like that's not a compliment I usually hear a lot from GDQs, but like this GDQ, I've heard that from so many different people. And so like you saying it now, you know, people said that for my run, like, hey, I watched it from my bed and it was really comfy. And then I've said that to other people as well.
I said that about Covert Muffin's Warcraft 3 run too. I was like, yo, I'm not going down there, but I watched it from my bed. It was fucking dope. Like, I was so comfy. I didn't want to go down there because I know I'll just be on the couch or backup couch, and after the run, I won't be able to talk to you. But I watched your run.
Yeah, it's just like something from other GDQs. Like I've maybe like one or two people have ever said that, but like this GDQ, it seems like everyone kind of just said, "Hey, I watched your run from my bed. It was really good." Which is interesting.
That's the comfiest, okayest thing I've heard. Because I was at 5 a.m. my run.
Yeah,
and people were like, "Yeah, I was in bed. I was falling asleep, and I'll catch it later." I was like, "I'm glad you slept. Also, thank you for considering me."
I kind of figured like your run. I think it was scheduled to be like 6:30 a.m. at some point.
It
like right before.
5.
Yeah, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to sleep around. I actually had like a normal sleep schedule for this GDQ, which is very, very odd. So I went to bed at like 11. I was like, I'm just gonna wake up at like 6, walk down, watch Saints run, and I woke up at 8, and I was like, well, fuck. And then your run ended up being earlier than that anyway, so
yeah,
a bit unfortunate.
I'm not offended at all. I was like, I don't even want to be up for my run. This is bullshit.
Yeah, as someone who's had plenty of late night runs, it's that
was my Hitman run. My Hitman run was 4:20 a.m. I remember it vividly because of the meme. But it'll happen. It'll happen when you have a bad game. But
also, can I say the best part about GDQs is when you come home and realize how comfortable your own bed is compared to hotel beds. Oh my God, it is a world of difference, and I never want to leave my bed again.
My bed was amazing when I got back to it, and I didn't even have a nightmare like travel situation because I left before the winter storm hit, and I was still like, I got in my bed, I fell straight asleep. I was like, my bed's amazing.
It's like every time I go to like a hotel and I lay down in bed, I'm like, you know, this is actually not that bad. It's pretty comfortable. And I come home, I'm like, what was I thinking? That is not a comfortable bed.
The bed's okay, but also you're not like at home. Like you're in a foreign place. You're not sure what's going on. Anytime I heard like I was in a window next to the parking lot, and I could hear doors closing from cars. Anytime that happened, I'd be like, what the fuck's happening? Where am I? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in Maryland. That's right. I'm not in Georgia. It's weird.
Here's some gunshots going off.
Yeah, I'm like, no, like in my neighborhood, I hear gunshots.
Yeah,
and that comforts me. Yeah.
They'll put you to sleep at night.
In hotel, there weren't nearly enough gunshots.
No.
But 6 out of 10 pillows. Yeah, the pillows weren't great.
Can I say that the strangest thing I thought about the hotel rooms is that the fact that they had windows that would open?
So, story time. We have a friend. His name is DeGaulle. He's gone to a lot of GDQs. He's a good friend of ours. And we were hanging out in my room one day, and we discovered, hey, you can open the doors. They open outwards and look.
Yeah, most doors do open, Saint. You mean windows?
Hey, rum and cokes are flowing today. No, but the windows, they open, but they don't open enough where you can go outside of them, so you don't kill yourself. But they open enough for a shoe. So we were drinking one day.
Allegedly.
We were all of age.
Allegedly.
And DeGaulle was just standing in front of me. I was sitting on the bed, and I thought it would be hilarious, and it was. If I just nut tapped him really quick with my hand. Just like, pop, gotcha. And he got really annoyed, so he grabbed both of my Converses. My one, well, I had 3 pairs of Chucks, but my favorite pair of Chucks. And he put one of them just out the window. and we were on the 7th floor or 5th floor. And I was like, "Whoa, you don't do that!" And then we fought over the other the other shoe, and I don't remember what happened, but I eventually fell over from laughter, and he threw my other shoe out of the window, and we went out for CC's, I think, and
yeah,
we drunkenly searched for my shoes, and we found one. It was nighttime, and we found one of my shoes. And then later on, I left that shoe in our buddy Extreme Lampshade's car. So I didn't even have the shoe we found. And then DeGaulle went and found the other shoe.
The next day, by the way.
The next day. And then I was like, oh, it's good you found my shoe because I left the other one in Lampshade's car. And then 2 days later, we combined the shoes again. And that was
You're just like really lucky that it didn't rain that night.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what I was thinking the whole time. I was like, he's just gonna leave his shoe out there. What if it just rains or something?
We couldn't find it.
Yeah.
But then DeGaulle went and found it, and then he was like, "You guys are blind." I was like, "We were drunk and it was dark." And then we put the shoes together, and then some golden light came out, and then I don't know. We made like a wish on the Dragon Balls or something.
Summoned Shinron.
Yeah, we summoned Shinron.
And then Brawly came out.
And then the Brawly movie came out.
So overall, how would you, because we'll get to my terrible travel story leaving the event in a minute, but overall, how would you, one, rank this GDQ in itself, and then two, compared to the other GDQs that you've been to?
This might have been, aside from SGDQ 2015, which was the random GDQ I decided to go back to, which is when I met like you, Chris LBC, Bubbles, Thor, a bunch of other people, like for the first time. That one was one of my favorites. This one rivals that very closely. Even though I didn't hang out with a lot of people that much because I had like a lot of anxiety about my run, this was probably like my favorite one.
Okay.
Probably. Mostly because of just like it felt more chill. Like I didn't feel, I don't know how to explain it. It just felt more relaxed. I think it was the hotel layout. My run went really well, so I felt great about that for the rest of the week. I'd say it's my second favorite next to SGDQ 2015. That's probably where I'd put it.
I think for me,
I wish Scoot was there. I wish Scoot was there. It would have been better.
Do you? Do you wish?
No, Scoot sucks. Fuck that idiot.
I have mixed feelings about this. I don't think it was bad in any regard. I feel like there are a lot of people either I meant to hang out with or to meet. There's a lot of people
I did too.
From my streams that like either their first GDQ or like the first time I've known them when we've both gone to a GDQ, and I didn't get to meet them, which feels really bad. And it's just like, in that regard, I feel like I didn't really do anything socially. Like I hung out with our regular group of friends a lot, and then like kind of walked around here and there. But besides that, I didn't really do much. It feels like, and I didn't really participate in the stream itself. So I did my run, watched a couple of runs. So I had a good time. I just feel like as far as GDQ experiences go, I didn't quite have that same experiences I've had from other GDQs where I've met a whole bunch of new people, went out and had a whole bunch of like dinners with them and talks and all that other crazy stuff. So I don't quite know where to rank it. So this is my, I think, 11th GDQ now. So it falls somewhere on the higher end, but I don't know if I'd put it at the top.
I would say above average, pretty above average for GDQs. Like it felt good. Nothing about it was especially stupid.
I will say I'm looking forward to it being in Florida next year.
That's going to be dope.
One, because of the better weather for one, traveling, and two, being able to just walk around. Because for SGDQ, that is the main highlight, I'd say, as opposed to AGDQs in the past. Being able to go outside and actually walk the places.
Just go outside in like a t-shirt and shorts even, and just like, where are we going? We're walking around.
Like you could do that here, but it was very windy and very cold, and at the end it started snowing, so it made it a little hard.
We walked to the beer and wine store, which was like a 6-minute walk or something like that, and we were like debating whether to do it or not. We were like, it's gonna be so goddamn cold. Fuck Maryland, this sucks. Yeah, that happened a lot.
Like Saturday night, like it was the start of the snowfall. It's like, I'm hungry. There's not a whole lot of people here that I know anymore. Like, you had left, DeGaulle had left, Zeph had left, a bunch of people I was hanging out with had gone. So I was like, I'm just gonna walk, get food on my own. I walked to Popeyes, which once again is like a 5-minute walk in the snow. And I was just like, this is terrible.
Yeah,
I got my food. And I was like, I'm just gonna walk back and go to my room, and it was like just awful. I was like, I'm just gonna eat this food, stay in my room, sleep, and be done.
Everything hurts. Like, it's just like way too cold. But I want to talk about my run.
Okay,
real quick.
Go for it.
Basically, I had like a day and a half worth of anxiety, like more so than my previous runs. It was really bad, which is why, if you remember, I was just kind of like, I'm going in my room. Nobody comes to my room. I just need to lay down for like a day. That was like a whole thing. I didn't have, like, I had so much anxiety leading up to my run. So it was very strange.
Was that because of like the commentary? You didn't feel like prepared, or just like performing, or having?
So it was less so, like, even Demon Souls was more of a dangerous run because more can go wrong in that. So it wasn't anything like things can go wrong. I think I was just worried about showing it off just right. Because I really liked the game. Puri had put in a lot of work, like doing research on the game, finding strats. So I wanted to do him justice and shout him out properly, which ironically I forgot to shout people out at the end of my run. But it was just like a combination of things. I just wanted to do the game right. Like, it's, for some reason, that shitty fucking game, I just wanted to make sure I got it right perfectly. And I think that made me more nervous than anything, because I knew I could do the run perfectly fine. But yeah, leading up to it, I was very, very nervous. And then right before my run, I showed up to the warm-up couch, like, I think like 10 minutes before my run. And I knew I had asked Author Blues and Caveman to be on my run, and Studio just asked to be on my couch because he's Studio. He was like, hey, can I be on that couch? I was like, all right, sure, whatever. And 10 minutes before my run, nobody showed up yet. I was like, okay, this is fine. I was kind of ready for this anyways. I can solo commentary. And then I think Author might have been the first to show up. I don't remember. I was like, oh, thank God. Because he had sat with me for a practice run and did practice commentary. And I was like, okay, cool. You've run the game. We did a practice run. This is better. And then Caveman or Studio showed up, and they like showed up one after another. And I was like, oh, thank God. Like, the people I asked are actually showing up now for my run. This is much better. And then I got my run started, and then the couch made me feel so much more like not nervous about anything. And like right when the run started, I was like, this is great. This is perfect. Like, Studio doesn't know the run. Author knows the run and he's a marvelous commentator. Holy shit. I didn't know how good Author was at commentating, because he gets asked to be put on a lot of couches. Yeah, I didn't know him much until he picked up Phantom Menace, and I kind of watched him do the 12-hour challenge. But he was very quick on, like, when I would be like coming up to a trick or something, he would immediately jump in and then just start describing it perfectly. And I was like, holy, I was not expecting that. Like, he would be on point. And then Caveman was just like all over the place, just like fun flavor text, because he knows jank games and stuff like that. He filled in the blanks, and my couch kind of made that run better than it should have been, I feel. So yeah, Off is great.
As someone who still hasn't seen your run, I think knowing the game and knowing the personalities you had on couch, I don't think you could have had a better couch for that.
I was thinking that exact same thing. I was like, I have the perfect couch Like Author Blues, which is just he's just great. He runs so many games and he speaks very well. Caveman, leader of PlayStation Nation. He just knows so many games and he's a funny, cool guy on top of that. Studio, just a memer. He has never seen the run, and he's just gonna say what he says as if he was watching the run.
Yep.
And they carried that run, and I was just kind of there to play the game and make Star Wars jokes because I'm a nerd. And it went way better than I could have ever hoped, which I was very happy with.
Yeah, it's speaking to that anxiety of like you want to make sure you do the game right and make sure things go well. Like when I get on stage, like I've never been super great at public speaking, which is odd considering what I do in terms of streaming and going to GDQs and stuff.
You do it really well.
So I still do get those nerves, but it's more so of that anxiety of just, I want to make sure this run goes the way I want it to, whether that's gameplay wise, commentary wise, showing it off, shouting out people. And I think it's pretty obvious if you watch at least the beginning of my runs at GDQs, is I start off very nervous of not knowing exactly what to do. And with the whole added...
That's normal. I feel like that's super normal.
Bethesda stuff going on beforehand, that just added to it so much more. And then like as my run goes, you know, I sort of like realize things are going to be okay. And then usually if something goes wrong, even if it's something minor, like a trick doesn't go right or something, I guess Abigail kind of pointed out, like, it seems like I'm calm and things are going well. But on the inside, I'm just like, holy fuck, what is going on?
Like the EMP that went off right when you were exiting that one.
That I kind of saw coming, but like a PC wise, like there's the trick with the sliding when you slide into the wall and it shoots you off. That's a trick I can do every time on my PC at home, and like every other runner doesn't really have any issues with it. For whatever reason, on those PCs,
it was just kind of okay.
It didn't work on those PCs. I don't know why. It's not frame rate dependent.
Go far enough or something.
No, it's just like that same setup. It just didn't work, and so it's not a huge trick. And in terms of the run, you don't need it to work. It's just something that always goes right, didn't, and I didn't know how to correct it, and it's scary. But yeah.
But you get comfortable at some point. Like when it started, it's nerve-wracking. Then when you get into it, you're like, oh, this is just what I'm good at. So
yeah,
fuck it. I'm good at this. Now I will do it. But then sometimes things go wrong, but it's fine. Even if you're overestimate a little bit, which I was.
I will say
it's fine because as long as you're doing it well, people will enjoy it.
I will say this is one of the few times where I've had kind of a cushion in my estimate. It hasn't been quite as close.
I thought you always give a cushion in your estimate.
I've started to, but this one is by far more. And I'm really glad I did that because it allowed me to sometimes slow down and do things I normally wouldn't do in a run. Just like kind of a funny moment, like becoming the stool as a mimic and getting out of it. And stuff like that, or taking the time to look at the menu a little longer so people can actually read it and stuff like that. To kind of show off the game more than necessarily going for the best time, which is kind of what I've always done.
I think that's something that a lot of people don't do. And it's something, whenever I see people trying to do it, Covert Muffin did this in his Warcraft 3 run. He actually stopped for a second and he saved his game. And he was like, okay, look over here. This is what I'm going to try to do with this kind of skip. And they reloaded his game to like continue the run. I was like, that's what people need to see. You're not going for like a good, like the run you're doing at GQ shouldn't even be for like a leaderboard, like standard. Like it should be to showcase the run. And when people do that, I think that's so much better because your average viewer doesn't know what the fuck you're doing. And when you actually take the time to like point things out with a cursor or with the camera, they appreciate it so much more because they're like, oh, that's cool. Okay, I know what's about to happen. Boom, let's go.
Yeah, and this was kind of the GDQ and the run for me where I've kind of made that distinction of like, okay, I don't necessarily need a perfect run, which I've put myself like high standard. Like I don't want to mess up any major tricks, but it's like you could take that extra second and point out something that like for you, it doesn't mean anything, but as someone who's either not seen the run or not seen the game before, it's like that knowing that extra little bit of information can help significantly. And it's just I hope more runners pick that up in the future. And I think it's also going back to the whole taskbot thing of like, that's like the best possible time. And if there's no commentary, no pointing out stuff, it doesn't have that same appeal.
It just doesn't translate enough. Yeah, if people want to see the best possible run, they'll just go to speedrun.com and watch the top time. But GDQs they're a showcase, they're a presentation, they are, hey, watch this for charity. This is how this game is. Like, it's not black and white, this is the time that, like, you do this to be fat. It's like, no, you be excited about your run, show it off a little bit. I think that's fun. It adds that human element to it.
So do you have anything else to add about the event itself before I go into my fuck flights during snow rant?
Let me check my notes real quick. Talked about that. We raised 2.3 million. We did escape rooms at GDQ.
Yeah, those were always fun to do. Unfortunately, we can't record them in any way to post them online. I'd be like so cool if whenever like a room retired, whatever they did, they like put out like, say, this is you guys playing through this room. That is no longer a thing anymore. But fortunately, not. So.
Yeah. We did think you and I, then it was you, me, and Jamaican Bacon did a 3-person escape room that we barely finished. Fuck, we suck. Escape rooms. But we got it done, and you're still undefeated, if I understand that correctly.
Yeah, luckily, I honestly did not think we were going to get through the 3-man escape room with me, you, and Jamaican with that one. Because it's going into that, I was like, this is a long shot, but maybe we can do it. And we used so many hints, so it's kind of cheaty.
Well, no, they had unlimited hints. That's the way their room was designed.
They did, but I feel like even like using one hint, it's like...
no.
It's kind of... takes the spirit out of things.
Every escape room has their rules. We use their rules. You're undefeated.
I mean, you're right, but I'm gonna put an asterisk by it.
No, there's no asterisk. No, remove that. I'm erasing it. But yeah, the end of GDQ. So on Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard, there was scheduled to be a massive winter storm. I flew out at 3 p.m. BT, do you want to tell us about your travels after Saturday?
So usually I do, well, at least I used to leave on Saturday because I used to work Sunday through Thursday. So I'd get back Saturday night and go into work on Sunday. No longer work that schedule because I don't work at all. So I was like, oh, I'm going to save the extra day, go out on Sunday. Terrible idea. I'm going to leave every GDQ on Saturdays from now on. Just in case something happens, I have that extra day to spend with whoever's still at the hotel. So it started snowing on Saturday into Sunday morning and throughout all of Sunday. But originally I was supposed to board my plane at 3 o'clock on Sunday, fly home and be home.
Sound better now. Sorry.
It's my internet being terrible. It's not on your end.
Okay.
So I was supposed to board at 3, land at 5 is what was supposed to happen. I got a cancellation for my first flight late Saturday night, I believe. And I could reschedule. There was only one nonstop flight. Everything else had a like 8-hour layover somewhere super far away, which is really dumb. That boarded at 5, landed at 7. Okay. Board the plane at 5, land at 7. Got to there's another story I don't know if I want to tell on here about somebody losing their bag, which is fucking hilarious. But I'm gonna go through my story first, and maybe if we have time we'll go back to it. So I get to the airport around 1:30. Get through security, no problem. Also, my driver's license was expired for the whole trip, which I found out getting to AGDQ and going through TSA. So I had a real fun time trying to buy any alcohol with an expired driver's license.
It worked out a lot, actually.
But I got through, just chilling at like 1:30, waiting on my flight at the right gate and everything. Snow's still coming down. I'm just watching it like, oh man, it says it's on time. It says we're good to go. All these other flights getting canceled or delayed. I'm just like, it still says on time. It still says on time. Watching the snow come down. It's getting closer to 5. The plane in the gate pulls out. My plane pulls in. We start boarding. Everything seems perfectly fine. 5 o'clock. We're good. Then we're just sitting on the plane for who knows how fucking long. They come on and say, hey, it's snowing. We have to wait 30, 40 minutes for them to clear the runway. Okay, fine. That makes sense. You know, we're still on time.
Yes.
Little delay.
All good.
40 minutes go by. They come back and say, hey, we're still good to go, but because of the snow, we have to a certain weight restriction for flying, so we have to kick 4 people off. 3 people volunteer almost instantly after 30 more minutes of waiting for the gate attendant to come down and start the whole process. 3 people volunteer, and they're like,
weight restriction because of people?
Yeah, like how much weight you can have on the plane to take off in the snow, I guess. I don't know. I'm not in that industry.
Sure.
So 3 people volunteering get off, and they're like, we need a 4th one, or the plane's not flying. They say it a couple times, and this guy like angrily, he's like, I'll do it, I'll volunteer. So he gets up and grabs his stuff, and people on the plane just start fucking clapping like it's the greatest thing that's ever happened in their life. It was hilarious. Legitimately, they're like, yeah, thank you. It's like you're a savior, a hero, which is funny. So he gets off.
Ridiculous.
And they're like, okay, well, plane's still good to go. We're underweight. We have to now wait in line to get de-iced. There's about like 8 planes in front of us, so we sitting there waiting longer. We start backing out. We start getting in line for de-ice. Finally get there. This is maybe like another hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours after we boarded, so it's like 7 o'clock now, right? I was supposed to have landed by this time. We get to the spot where we de-ice, and they start doing it, and they're like, hey, so we made it this far, but we waited so long that we've run low on fuel, and we don't have enough to take off. So now we have to go back to a gate to refuel so that we can get back in line to de-ice again so that we can take off.
Jesus Christ.
We wait another hour and a half at the de-ice station for a gate assignment.
You're on the plane this whole time.
On the plane, can't get up because we're on the runway, so you have to stay buckled in your seat in a cramped economy seating. You could try to fight the airline attendants, and some people did.
Oh my god.
So by the time it's like 8:30 maybe, and we finally get his gate assignment, pull in. They're like, hey, some people have to get off because there's air marshals and other pilots that had to go fly other planes somewhere else. So they had to wait for a shuttle to pull up, get them off the plane. Got anyone else that wanted off the plane as well, I guess, off. And they're like, hey, now we got to wait in line to de-ice again. Fucking awesome. But this whole time, it's just snowing more and more. I'm just like, they're going to pull us into a gate. They're going to say, we don't have we don't have enough space to take off or whatever, and we have to deplane and cancel the flight. Like, that's in the back of my mind the entire time. Like, if they come on the announcement, they're going to say, we have to deplane, and they're canceling the flight. Luckily, we get back to the de-ice. We start fucking going down the runway, and it's like 10 p.m. So I boarded the plane at 5, and I've been sitting without moving for 5 hours before we finally take off.
It's like sitting for a half of a Final Fantasy 9 speed run.
But then the flight's 2 hours, so I was stuck there for another 2 hours, and finally landed at midnight with no problems. But yeah, it fucking sucked to be stuck on a plane for 7 hours when it was supposed to be 2.
One of our good friends, Katie, aka Hep Lunar, she got supremely fucked by airliners. She was probably in some airports for about 26 hours, just getting delayed and canceled and rescheduled, just living in an airport for like over a day.
Yeah.
that was a lot of people's realities of that winter storm. But yeah, your story and then Katie's, it kind of encapsulates how everyone's trips were leaving Maryland.
So
it was pretty fucking bad.
We have a little bit more time for this. So I'm gonna wind it back to the trip to the airport. So going to the airport, we're going by metro. So it was myself, Jamaican Bacon, and Zimbabwe, which some people may know, if maybe not. But we get on the metro. We each have like our luggage and then like a backpack, essentially. We're taking it. We're like, all right, smooth sailing. We're gonna get there, no problems. We get off the first metro because we have to make a swap from the red line to the blue line, or vice versa,
to get to the airport.
The tram's still there, but we had just gotten off and it was about to take off. And then Jamaican looks over at Zim and goes, "Did you leave your bag on the tram?" And as soon as he does that, Zim turns around to head back and it just takes off with his bag on it. So he has a Nintendo Switch, tons of Joy-Cons, controllers, his car key, his apartment key, like all this stuff in his backpack that's now taken off. So we're looking around and like, oh wait, we got to find an attendant, you know, call them, see if they can search the tram, all this stuff. And we're just walking around. They're like, yeah, you know, go wait like 10 minutes and we'll search the tram, all this stuff. And I'm just like, it
was a Nintendo Switch backpack too.
Yeah, it had like the official Nintendo Switch logo on and everything. So if you looked at the bag, you're like, there's probably a Switch in this.
Money.
Yeah.
Some fucking dickless piece of shit saw that, took it, didn't turn it in. He's like, this is mine now.
Yeah, so we went and sat in a coffee shop, got some stuff, and then went back down. Like, hey, did they find anything? They call ahead to like every station it could have gone to, searched like every metro had gone through, and just nothing. There's like, yep, it's, you know, it's just not there. Which, like, as someone, it's like not my stuff, so I'm not out anything, and it's like he's out some monetary value for the Switch and the Joy-Cons and all that, but it's like for him it didn't seem like a big deal.
Feel for him,
but it's like, you know, your car key, your apartment key, like stuff that's
it's just like so much.
Apparently he had backups for that stuff.
Let's get this.
Like luckily, but it's like if you had left your wallet and like your driver's license and your credit cards and all that stuff just being gone in the blink of an eye, it's just like that. And then he had to go deal with like flight delays and everything after that fact, which he had some troubles with that as well. And it's just like that whole Sunday from that point on I was so happy to get home and to sleep.
Yeah, it was rough times for a lot of people. But like as a gamer, if I were to find a Nintendo Switch backpack, I'd see it and I'd be like, I want to turn this in. Because like I know I would be pissed if this was mine. And just some fucking asshole just like stole this. Which judging by the people on the metro in Maryland, they would be fucking dickless pieces of shit who would steal all that. And that's probably what happened, unfortunately.
I mean, he said he like logged in, I guess like the service on the phone, you could see what the account was up to, and they were playing like Mario Kart on the Switch like a couple hours afterwards. So obviously someone had taken it and started playing on his account that he then shut down.
Piece of shit.
But yeah, super shitty, and it's just
that is shitty. I wouldn't even like you could blame him for like forgetting it, but like it's late. You have to travel. It sucks. And it's an honest mistake. It's one mistake you might make. You got your luggage. You're getting off. And you're
talking to like the attendants there. There's like, oh yeah, you know, if you live around here, you know, you can come back. We're like, no, we had to like go and get on planes like in like 2 hours. They're like, oh
yeah, you're like, I'm going. Like
like they honestly didn't seem like they really cared that much to like call ahead and stop it until they said we're actually leaving town. We don't have time to come back in like a day to see if Lost and Found had, you know, managed to find it somewhere.
It's just their job. They're just like, oh, we're here every day. If you come here tomorrow, you can do it. You're like, I travel. They're like, oh, well, whatever.
It's just like
stinks.
That moment of realization, like, oh shit, my bag's over on that metro that's now taking off, and I just watching my stuff leave.
I think we've all had some crazy fucking situation like that.
Yeah, it's a sad experience.
But a lot of people had a lot of bad travel experiences with that winter storm. Which, you know, a lot of people want to argue about what's the best season, and I always say summer or even spring. Some people say winter, and to that I say winter only brings delays, awful chores of shoveling snow, and cold, uncomfortable cold. Winter sucks.
So you conveniently left out the one season that I would say is the best, which is fall.
Fall's good. Fall's my close second. Honestly.
I like fall because you can walk outside.
Winter.
You can walk outside in shorts and a hoodie, and not be too cold and not be too warm.
I'm a summer baby. I love intense heat because I like to swim and go outside and sweat. I like summer, fall, spring, winter. Those are my tiers. What are your tiers of seasons?
Fall, summer, winter, spring. I hate spring because of allergies.
Okay. I can see that.
I can't stand it. Fall because it's the best. Summer because it's warm and toasty and you can go outside. I don't mind the cold.
Super nice.
I don't like wind. I can deal with cold. I can deal with snow and ice. I hate the wind when it gets wintertime. Which is odd.
That's fair. That's fair. SGDQ is going to be in Bloomington, Minnesota, which should be warm as fuck. Should be above 72 just at all times. And AGDQ is going to be in Orlando, Florida, so probably lows of 50, highs of 80. Yep. I checked. So AGDQ next year should be walking around weather, which I'm super down with, and we're going to go Disney World.
Disney World, Universal, you can go to Harry Potter World.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to go out a few hours, we can go to the beach.
Yeah, Beach Boys.
We can have beach GDQ board. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oceanside, baby. I mean, what?
We'll be showing off our bods that we're going to be working on, not right now, but like in the future.
Yeah.
It's going to be epic. But SGDQ, what are your plans for SGDQ, AGDQ? Are you going to ESA? What are you doing? Summer is not the worst season. I will call you out in chat. Fuck you, Pathonicus. Even though
it's one of those things. It's like if you talk to anyone during a GDQ, one of the questions that always comes up is, "What are you doing next? What are your plans when you go home?" And I have some ideas for things, but I haven't given them enough thought to be like, this is what I'm doing. So it's like, in a month, I'll have my plans sorted out, and I'll have down what I want to do, what I want to work on, all that good stuff. But for right now, I'm just kind of catching up on things that happened last week and the week before, and then there's some stuff coming out like Resident Evil 2 remake.
Oh my god!
New Punisher season's coming out on Friday. A whole bunch of stuff. So kind of just catching up really, and then we'll see what goes from there.
Okay.
I know you're semi-retired from speedrunning at this point.
I'm on hiatus. But I may go to SGDQ. That's up in the air. I would really like to go to Europe for the first time in my life for summer. So I may go to ESA. I still don't know what I'm going to do. But I do want to go to AGDQ in Orlando. That's like a solid... I will do that. I do want to go to Orlando for AGDQ. That's just something that seems great. That seems really fun that I don't want to miss. Even if I have a run in or not, I'm probably going to go. Also, I wanted to bring up Vuligen announced he is no longer involved with GDQ staffing, but he will be at GDQs.
Yeah.
So shout outs to Vuligen. He's one of my favorite people in the speedrunning community. He's very, very cool. He had a Twitter thread about talking about how he felt he didn't get to hang out with a lot of people at GDQs a lot of time. He felt like he was kind of walking around GDQ areas, and he thought people didn't want him around much. But I think I think him stepping down as GDQ staff is pretty good because I love Wooligan. I would love to talk and hang out with him as if he wasn't staff. Just like, hey, come hang out. You don't have anything to worry about staff wise. Like, he's one of my favorite people in the
Yeah,
speedrun community.
I'm pretty sure it's been known for a while. I guess not
widely
known
like
that he was stepping down.
A year now. Yeah, he made a Reddit post or something.
Something like that. So it's like I was kind of caught off guard by how many people didn't realize that was happening. I mean, shout outs to him once again for just all the work he's done for GDQs, and we'll probably still have some part in it, I'm sure. But yeah, the Reddit thread about like imposter syndrome and then just like not quite knowing how he fits into GDQs anymore is a great thread to go read. A lot of relatable things if you want to check that out. But
yeah,
unless you have anything else, I think that's probably a good wrapping up moment for this week's podcast.
Is a good wrapping up moment, and if by any chance Wooligan is watching, love you so much, Wooligan. No imposter syndrome. I would love to hang out with you at future GDQs with no attachment to staff stuff. You should hang out, and you're very cool. You're one of my favorite people in GDQ. Just by the way, in just speedrunning or video games in general, you're great.
So that's this is our first live version of our podcast. We have 14 other episodes up on YouTube. Those will probably actually be shifting from the channel they're on now to my personal channel, just to make things a little more streamlined and getting them up and processed. So if you're looking for those, they'll still be up there for a while, but they're eventually will be moving over. You can also find us on iTunes and Spotify. They go up usually on Wednesdays in the afternoon. Same with the YouTube video. So if you're new to the podcast,
any podcasting grabbing apps you might have, like Podcast Addict or anything like that, you can search for Blood, Saint, and Beers, and you will find us.
This will probably be about the time and the day of the week that we'll do these from the future, every Tuesday at 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. if we get up to it. But you can follow us on Twitter at Blood, Saint, and Beers, and we tweet out some things here and there, trying to work on it a little bit more. And we talk about more than just AGDQ, so movie news, gaming news, whatever pops up, backyard wrestling. And if you have topics that pop up through the week you want to hear us talk about, feel free to send it to us. We'll check it out. But thank you guys for watching and hanging out.
Thank you, everybody. This was a fun live stream. Thank you all for joining us. And hopefully we do this every other show live. If you guys want to join, it's been fun.
We'll catch you guys next week. Thank you for watching.